In storytelling, often characters are given a shadow. A character's shadow is their opposite, or what they do not want to be or end up as. In Ice Age Continental Drift, I feel the pirates have a bit more depth than just being the bad guys. I feel they are the inverse of Manny, Sid, and Diego's herd. For Manny, it's really easy to see who is the other side of him. Manny loves his family, and to him his friends are important. They're not just pawns for him to get what he wants. He's caring and has a true sense of honor and getting work done, preferably without a fight. Gut is the opposite. I found out later of his backstory that his family rejected him, and that's why he's so hateful to the idea of families. But you don't have to know that to come to that conclusion, because he makes it pretty obvious what he thinks. He clearly doesn't care for his crewmates, and he hasn't rebuilt his life like Manny did after he experienced a life-changing event. Gut is constantly trying to stop Manny, as it's weirdly personal to him, like he must do this, because as I said before, he believes families just aren't worth it, and maybe he wants to get someone on his crew more like him, and more competent than the rest. Manny sticks strong to his morals and never even doubts himself for a second. Even though his daughter wasn't particularly nice to him the last time they saw each other, he doesn't even think about it. For Diego, it's a lot easier to know who his shadow is. They also share a similar past. But the neat thing about him is he doesn't try to defeat his shadow, but instead try to get them on the right path and fix them, because it must be known that a character's shadow is in some way a part of them, and sometimes embracing it is the only way to deal with it. Sid was kind of hard to pinpoint, though I think I'm pretty certain I can say it's Squint. Squint is the third most seen and developed pirate, and he, like Sid, both feel a sense of not being seen as important as the rest, or a feeling that they need to do something to rise up. Sid by this movie has mostly gotten over that. Then the return of his family really made him think of his actions more, especially when his granny tells Sid they think we're all screw-ups and we can't do anything right, which would definitely resonate with Sid considering he's the one who required saving at the end of the meltdown and Dawn of the Dinosaurs, usually to some error in his actions or by some accident he caused. The way he goes about it, though, is drastically different than Squint. He is always willing to accept help and not go alone. He's also nice and will never put anyone down to help himself. This works out in the end. Squint, with all his power gone to his head, tries to single-handedly take on Shira, and gets crushed under the foot of a 10-ton mammoth. Meanwhile, Sid, with the help of Granny and Precious, go on their own and save the entire herd from Gut's crew. And Sid also is able to track down Manny and save his life too. He also gets the true recognition he deserves in his herd. While if Squint was successful, he probably wouldn't get much from Gut. In the end, Sid really redeemed himself after a lot of his previous screw-ups in the movies, that I'm sure he felt pretty bad about. In the end, I think this is a really well-constructed film, and it flows very nicely. This movie has a huge cast of characters, but it has four main characters: Manny, Peaches, Sid, and Diego, and it does an excellent job of being able to seamlessly transition from each of their viewpoints and their motivations. Manny wants to get home because of his family. Diego, of course, is his friend and will go too, no doubt about it. But he is left conflicted. Sid is the most loyal friend Manny could ever have, so Sid will be there the entire time. Meanwhile, Granny is a little on the crazy side. She mostly just gets swept along. This dynamic works well. This movie came out 10 years after the first one did, so separating the cast again to have the original three back together on their own, plus Granny, really worked and it makes the movie really fun to watch. Like that, Manny is really good with not only wanting to get back to his family, but he's not going to leave any of his friends behind. He saves Sid's life, and Sid repays that later on, but he also will stop an entire ship to make sure Diego can get along also. I also enjoy how the presence of his previous family is still felt, because he's an overprotective dad, exactly as he would be. The greater connections this film has really shown me that I didn't think enough about how pivotal this movie is to the franchise, that it's not just some one-off adventure. It really comes back to the great comparisons and simple yet effective storytelling of the first movie that makes it great. Anyway, that's all I got for today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.